Hare Krishna, my dear devotees, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, right here in the Haven, which is in Hythe, Kent, southeast England, just a stone's throw from the English Channel. Okay, we're a little late getting started, so we'll get right into it. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Mahima Stotram by Srila Sanatana Goswami glorifies the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and describes what it is in a most wonderful way. It goes like this: Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha, Sarva Vedaika Satpala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja, Sarva Loktaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Purāṇa, Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Prabho, Kali Dvandoditaditya, Sri Krishna Paribhartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshakshadayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin, Madguro Man Mahadana, Man Nistadaga Mad Bhagya, Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhutat dayin, atini chochatakada, hanamuncha kadachin mam, premna rit kantayokspuda. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we reached the 10th chapter of the 3rd canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Divisions of the Creation. And Maitreya Muni is continuing to answer the questions of Vidura. We're beginning with text 13. As this cosmic manifestation is now, it was the same in the past, and it will continue in the same way in the future. Purport. There is a systematic schedule for the perpetual manifestation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material world, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 9.8, Bhutva Gramam imam kritsnam avashang prakriter vishat. As it is created now, and as it will be destroyed later on, so also it existed in the past, and again will be created, maintained, and destroyed in due course of time. Therefore, the systematic activities of the time factor are perpetual of eternal, and cannot be stated to be false. Perpetual of eternal. Let's check that out. later. The manifestation is temporary and occasional, but it is not false, as claimed by the Mayavadi philosophers. Text 14. There are 9 different kinds of creations besides the one which naturally occurs due to the interactions of the modes. There are 3 kinds of annihilations due to eternal time, the material elements, and the quality of one's work. Purport. The scheduled creations and annihilations take place in terms of the supreme will. There are other creations due to interactions of the material elements, which take place by the intelligence of Brahma. Later, these will be more explicitly explained. At present, only preliminary information is given. The 3 kinds of annihilations are: 1, due to the scheduled time of annihilation of the entire universe; 2, due to a fire which emanates from the mouth of Ananta; and 3, due to one's qualitative actions and reactions. Text 15. Of the 9 creations, the first one is the creation of the Mahat Tattva, or the sum total of the material ingredients, wherein the modes interact due to the presence of the Supreme Lord. In the second, the false ego is generated, in which the material ingredients, material knowledge, and material activities arise. Purport. The first emanation from the Supreme Lord for material creation is called the Mahat Tattva. The interaction of the material modes is the cause of false identification, or the sense that a living being is made of material elements. This false ego is the cause of identifying the body and mind with the soul proper. Material resources and the capacity and knowledge to work are all generated in the second term of creation, after the Mahatattva. In this verse, the word jnana indicates the senses which are sources of knowledge, along with those senses controlling deities. Kriya indicates the working organs and their controlling deities. All these are generated in the second creation. Text 16. The sense perceptions are created in the third creation. The sense perceptions are created in the third creation, and from these the elements are generated. The fourth creation is the creation of knowledge and of working capacity. Text 17. The fifth creation is that of the controlling deities by the interaction of the motive goodness, of which the mind is the sum total. The sixth creation is that of the living entity's darkness of ignorance, which makes the master act as a fool. Purport. The demigods in the higher planets are called devas because they are all devotees of Lord Vishnu. Vishnu Bhakta Smrito Daiva Asuras Tad Viparyayaha. All the devotees of Lord Vishnu are devas or demigods, whereas all others are asuras. That is the division of the devas and the asuras. Devas are situated in the motive goodness of material nature, whereas the asuras are situated in the modes of passion and ignorance. The demigods or controlling deities are entrusted with departmental management of all the different functions of the material world. For example, one of our sense organs, the eye, is controlled by light. Light is distributed by the sun rays, and their controlling deity is the sun. Similarly, the mind is controlled by the moon, and all other senses, both for working and for acquiring knowledge, are controlled by different demigods. The demigods are thus assistants of the Lord in the management of material affairs. After the creation of the demigods, all entities are covered by the darkness of ignorance. Each and every living being in the material world is conditioned by his mentality of lording it over the resources of material nature. Although a living entity is the master of the material world, he is conditioned by ignorance, by the false impression of being the proprietor of material things. The energy of the Lord is called avidya. The energy of the Lord, called avidya, is the bewildering factor of the conditioned souls. The material nature is called avidya, or ignorance, but to the devotees of the Lord engaged in pure devotional service, this energy becomes vidya, or pure knowledge. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The energy of the Lord transforms from Mahamaya to Yogamaya and appears to pure devotees in her real feature. The material nature therefore appears to function in three phases: as the creative principle of the material world, as ignorance, and as knowledge. As disclosed in the previous verse, in the fourth creation, the power of knowledge is created. The conditioned souls are not originally fools. The conditioned souls are not originally fools, but by the influence of the avidya function of material nature, they are made into fools, and thus they are unable to utilize knowledge in the proper channel. By the influence of darkness, the conditioned soul forgets his relationship with the Supreme Lord and is overwhelmed by attachment, hatred, pride, ignorance, and false identification, the 5 kinds of illusion that cause material bondage. I'll read that again. By the influence of darkness, the conditioned soul forgets his relationship with the Supreme Lord and is overwhelmed by attachment, hatred, pride, ignorance, and false identification, the 5 kinds of illusion that cause material bondage. Text 18. All the above are the 6 natural creations by the external energy of the Lord. Now hear from me about the creations of Brahma, who was an incarnation of the mode of passion, and who in the matter of creation has a brain like that of the personality of Godhead. Text 19. The 7th creation is that of the immovable entities, which are of 6 kinds: the fruit trees without flowers, trees and plants which exist until the fruit is ripe, creepers which need support, pipe plants, creepers which need no support, and trees with flowers and fruits. Text 20. All the immovable trees and plants seek their subsistence upwards. They are almost unconscious, but have feelings of pain within. They are manifested in variegatedness. Text 21. The 8th creation is that of the lower species of life, and they are of different varieties, numbering 28. They are all extensively foolish, and ignorant. They know their desirables by smell, but are unable to remember anything within the heart. Purport. In the Vedas, the symptoms of the lower animals are described as follows. There's a long prose Sanskrit, which I'll leave out. In the Vedas, the symptoms of the lower animals are described as follows. Lower animals have knowledge only of their hunger and thirst. They have no acquired knowledge, no vision. Their behavior exhibits no independence on formalities. Extensively ignorant, they can know their desirables only by smell, and by such intelligence only can they understand what is favorable and unfavorable. Their knowledge is concerned only with eating and sleeping. Therefore, even the most ferocious lower animals, such as tigers, can be tamed simply by regularly supplying meals and accommodations for sleeping. Only snakes cannot be tamed by such an arrangement. Text 22. O purest Vidura, of the lower animals, the cow, goat, buffalo, Krishna, stag, hog, Gavaya animal, deer, lamb, and camel all have cloven hooves. Text 23. The horse, mule, ass, gora, Sharaba bison, and wild cow have only one hoof. Now you may hear from me about the animals who have 5 nails. Text 24. The dog, jackal, tiger, fox, cat, rabbit, porcupine, lion, monkey, elephant, tortoise, alligator, gosapa lizard, and so on, all have 5 nails in their claws. They are known as panchanakas, or animals having 5 nails. Text 25. The heron, vulture, crane, hawk, basa, baluka, peacock, swan, sarasa, chakravaka, crow, owl, and others are the birds. Text 26. The creation of the human beings, who are of one species only, and who stock their eatables in the belly, is the 9th in the rotation. In the human race, the motive passion is very prominent. Humans are always busy in the midst of miserable life, but they think themselves happy in all respects. Purport. The human being is more passionate than the animals, and thus the sex life of the human being is more irregular. The animals have their due time for sexual intercourse, but the human being has no regular time for such activities. The human being is endowed with a higher, advanced stage of consciousness for getting relief from the existence of material miseries, but due to his ignorance, he thinks that his higher consciousness is meant for advancing in the material comforts of life. Thus his intelligence is misused in the animal propensities, eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, instead of spiritual realization. By advancing in material comforts, the human being puts himself into a more miserable condition. But illusioned by the material energy, he always thinks himself happy, even while in the midst of misery. Such misery of human life is distinct from the natural, comfortable life enjoyed even by the animals. Text 27. O good Vidura, these last 3 creations and the creation of the demigods, the 10th creation, are Vaikrita creations, which are different from the previously described prakrita, natural creations. The appearance of the Kumaras is both. Text 28 and 29. The creation of the demigods is of 8 varieties. 1. The demigods. 2. The forefathers. 3. The asuras, or demons. 4. The Gandharvas and Apsaras, or angels. 5. The Yakshas and Rakshasas. 6. The Siddhas, Charanas, and Vijadaras. 7. The Bhutas, Pretas, and Pishachas. And 8. The superhuman beings, celestial singers, and so on. All are created by Brahma, the creator of the universe. Purport. As explained in the 2nd canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the Siddhas are inhabitants of Siddhaloka, where the residents travel in space without vehicles. At their mere will, they can pass from one planet to another without difficulty. Therefore, in the upper planets, the inhabitants are far superior to the inhabitants of this planet in all matters of art, culture, and science, since they possess brains superior to those of human beings. The spirits and jinn mentioned in this connection are also counted amongst the demigods, because they are able to perform uncommon functions not possible for men. Text 30. Now I shall describe the descendants of the Manus. The Creator, Brahma, as the incarnation of passion, as the incarnation of the passion mode of the personality of Godhead, creates the universal affairs with unfailing desires in every millennium by the force of the Lord's energy. Purport. The cosmic manifestation is an expansion of one of the many energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Creator and the created are both emanations of the same Supreme Truth, as stated in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, Janmad Yasya Yataha. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 10th chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Divisions of the Creation. Hare Krishna. All glories to Maitreya Muni, who is remembering all this. All glories to Vidura for his unbelievable questions. And all glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for actually being the ultimate controller and creator of all of these things. Hare Krishna. Okay, so in this section, we're only getting little, how do you say, thumbnail sketch of what's going on. And gradually, it will get more into the details until Kapila lays it all out in all detail. It's a wonderful section of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Chapter 11, Calculation of Time from the Atom. Text 1. Maitreya is still speaking. The material manifestation's ultimate particle, which is indivisible and not formed into a body, is called the atom. It exists always as an invisible entity, even after the dissolution of all forms. The material body is but a combination of such atoms, but it is misunderstood by the common man. Purport. The atomic description of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is almost the same as the modern science of atomism, and this is further described in the Paramanuvād of Canto. In modern science also, atoms are accepted as the ultimate indivisible particles of which the universe is composed. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the full text of all the descriptions of knowledge, including the theory of atomism. The atom is the minute, subtle form of eternal time. Text number 2. Atoms are the ultimate state of the material universe. When they stay in their own forms, without forming different bodies, they are called the unlimited oneness. There are certainly different bodies in physical forms, but the atoms themselves form the complete manifestation. Text 3. One can estimate time by measuring the movement of the atomic combination of bodies. Time is the potency of the Almighty Personality of Godhead, Hari, who controls all physical movement, although he is not visible in the physical world. Text 4. Atomic time is measured according to its covering a particular atomic space. That time which covers the unmanifest aggregate of atoms is called the Great Time. Purport. Time and space are two correlative terms. Time is measured in terms of its covering a certain space of atoms. Standard time is calculated in terms of the movement of the sun. The time covered by the sun in passing over an atom is calculated as atomic time. The greatest time of all covers the entire existence of the non-dual manifestation. All the planets rotate and cover space, and space is calculated in terms of atoms. Each planet has its particular orbit for rotating, in which it moves without deviation, and similarly, the sun has its orbit. The complete calculation of the time of creation, maintenance, and dissolution, calculations of the atom of the creation. We'll start that sentence again, sorry. The complete calculation of the time of creation, maintenance, and dissolution, measured in terms of the circulation of the total planetary systems until the end of creation, is known as the Supreme Kala. Text 5. The division of gross time is calculated as follows. 2 atoms make 1 double atom, and 3 double atoms make 1 hexaton. This hexaton is visible in the sunshine, which enters through the holes of a window screen. One can clearly see that the hexaton goes upwards towards the sky. Purport. The atom is described as an invisible particle, but when 6 such atoms combine together, they are called Tresarenu, and this is visible in the sunshine pouring through the holes of a window screen. Text 6. The time duration needed for the integration of 3 Tresarenus is called a Truti, and 100 Trutis make 1 Veda. 3 Vedas make 1 Lava. Purport. It is calculated that if a second is divided into 1,687.5 parts, each part is the duration of a Shruti, which is the time occupied in the integration of 18 atomic particles. Such a combination of atoms into different bodies creates the calculation of material time. The sun is the central point for calculating all different durations. Text 7. The duration of time of 3 lavas is equal to 1 nimesha. The combination of 3 nimeshas make 1 chana. 5 chanas combined together make 1 kasta, and 15 kashtas make 1 lagu. Purport. By calculation, it is found that 1 lagu is equal to 2 minutes. The atomic calculation of time in terms of Vedic wisdom may be converted into present time with this understanding. Text 8. 15 lagus make 1 nadika, which is also called a danda. 2 dandas make 1 muhurta, and 6 or 7 dandas make 1/4 of a day or night, according to human calculation. Text 9. The measuring pot for 1 nadika or danda can be prepared with a 6 pala weight, 14-ounce pot of copper, in which a hole is bored with a golden probe weighing 4 masha and measuring 4 fingers long. When the pot is placed on water, the time before the water overfloods in the pot is called 1 danda. Purport. It is advised herein that the hole bored in the copper measuring pot must be made with a golden probe, weighing 4 masha and measuring 4 fingers long. This regulates the diameter of the hole. The pot is submerged in water, and the overflooding time is called a danda. This is another way of measuring the duration of a danda, just as time is measured by sand flowing in an hourglass. It appears that in the days of Vedic civilization, there was no dearth of knowledge in physics, chemistry, or higher mathematics. Measurements were calculated in different ways, as simply as could be done. Text 10. It is calculated that there are 4 praharas, which are also called yamas, in the day and 4 in the night of the human being. Similarly, 15 days and nights are a fortnight, and there are 2 fortnights, white and black, in a month. Text 11. The aggregate of 2 fortnights is 1 month, and that period is 1 complete day and night for the Pita planets. 2 of such months comprise 1 season, and 6 months comprise 1 complete movement of the sun from north to south. Text 12. 2 solar movements make 1 day and night of the demigods, and that combination of day and night is 1 complete calendar year for the human being. The human being has a duration of life of 100 years. 13. Influential stars, planets, luminaries, and atoms all over the universe are rotating in their respective orbits under the direction of the Supreme, represented by eternal Kala. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the sun is the eye of the Supreme, and it rotates in a particular orbit of time. Similarly, beginning from the sun down to the atom, all bodies are under the influence of the Kala Chakra, or the orbit of eternal time, and each of them has a scheduled orbital time of 1 Samvatsara. Text 14. There are 5 different names for the orbits of the sun, moon, stars, and luminaries in the firmament, and they each have their own Samvatsara. Purport. The subject matters of physics, chemistry, mathematics, astronomy, time and space deal with the above verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Once again, the subject matters of physics, chemistry, mathematics, astronomy, time, and space dealt with in the above verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam are certainly very interesting to students of the particular subject, but as far as we are concerned, we cannot explain them very thoroughly in terms of technical knowledge. The subject is summarized by the statement that above all the different branches of knowledge is the supreme control of Kala, the plenary representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nothing exists without Him, and therefore everything, however wonderful it may appear to our meager knowledge, is but the work of the magical wand of the Supreme Lord. As far as time is concerned, we beg to subjoin herewith a table of timings in terms of the modern clock. Ready? Okay. 1 Truti, 13,500 of a second. 1 Veda, 8/135th of a second. 1 Lava, 8/45th of a second. 1 Nimesha, 8/15th of a second. 1 Chana, 8/5 of a second. 8/5, so that's 1 point something seconds. 1 Kashta, 8 seconds. 1 Lagu, 2 minutes. 1 Danda, 30 minutes. 1 Prahara, 3 hours. 1 day, 12 hours. 1 night, 12 hours. 1 Paksha, 15 days. 2 Pakshas comprise 1 month, and 12 months comprise 1 calendar year, or 1 full orbit of the sun. A human being is expected to live up to 100 years. That is the way of the controlling measure of eternal time. The Brahma Samhita 552 affirms this control in this way. Yach chakshur excuse me. The Brahma Samhita 552 affirms this control in this way. Yach chakshur esha savita sakala grahanang raja samasta sudamurtyadasheshate jaha yas yagyaya brahmati sambritakala chakro govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, under whose control even the sun, which is considered to be the eye of the Lord, rotates within the fixed orbit of eternal time. The sun is the king of all planetary systems and has unlimited potency in heat and light. Okay, we'll stop right there. This is a good stopping place because then Vidura is going to change the subject. So we'll start tomorrow at text 15 and we'll end our reading for today. It's 8 o'clock, so it's a good time. We made a lot of time. Time is flying, in case anybody didn't notice. Okay. All right, we're waiting in great anticipation of the reflections from the devotees out there in cyberspace. Hare Krishna.
First is from Gopakanya Devi Dasi.
Yes, Gopakanya Devi Dasi. Haribo.
Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj, and all assembled devotees, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Jai Ho.
Jai Ho.
And from Celine Wetzels.
Celine Wetzels. Yes, Hare Krishna, Celine.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Coming back from the ecstatic Ratha Yatra festival in Antwerp, reading with you is the perfect end of the day. Thank you.
Well, thank you. To be compared to a Ratha Yatra festival is almost unbelievable, but thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Reading this section made me realize the complexity of the web of ignorance, the maze of illusion and matter we are entangled in. Subsequently, gratefulness arises in the heart for the continuous mercy and grace we have received and are still receiving every second. How infinitely special is the position we are in, being able to dive into this transcendental knowledge. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Well, Hare Krishna to you too, and thank you for that lovely kind of thumbnail sketch of what we've been hearing. Very good reflection. Thank you very much. Yes, it is very complicated, and therefore the conditioned soul, who is very minute, very tiny, even tinier than the atom, easily becomes bewildered by these various energies, especially by false ego, which allows, or not just allows, forces the soul to identify with the mind and the body as the self. And from there, all the rest of it, which comprise the forms of the material cosmic manifestation. So yes, we are in a very special situation that we can hear these things and actually understand what's going on behind this complicated universal structure and variegated activity. Yeah. Very few people have this opportunity to hear this depth of knowledge of what's going on here. True.
She also has a question.
Yes.
Some intriguing shlokas on the relation between time and the atom. For instance, quote, "The atom is the minute subtle form of eternal time," unquote. Could you kindly help us understand how formless time takes a subtle form in the shape of an atom? Thank you, Maharaj.
Well, the atoms, before the Mahat Tattva is created, all the atoms are in an undifferentiated, unmanifest condition. And it is called the Pradhan. And that Pradhan is basically the external energy in an unmanifested state. It's before all of the different elements, are created before time enters, and so it cannot produce anything, it cannot move. Just like we have material energy, this cup is made of material energy, there's no consciousness, therefore the cup cannot move until I move it. So the Pradhan are the atoms, all the atoms that make up the material energy, unmanifested, without any forms, without any activities. When the Lord glances at that unmanifested material energy, which is, by the way, also personified as Maya, Devi, then he injects into each atom himself. In other words, according to the Brahma Samhita, in each atom there is an expansion of the Lord. And that's what creates the atomic particle that we know, that combines together and attracts and repulses in order to make the material cosmic manifestation. Hare Krishna. Then when the living entities are injected, at the same time, all these things are going on at the same time. The Pradhan is there. The Pradhan is eternal energy also, and it comes from the body of the Lord, and it acts as if it is inert, and it is made up again of all the individual atoms in a kind of soup, or a undifferentiated, unmanifested form, like a cloud. Then the Lord glances, time goes in, and the super soul, which is the super soul actually, and at this stage of creation, then later on, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Vishnu enters into the hearts of every living entity as the super soul. Let's see, where was I? Yes, and the Lord then, from the body, from the breathing of the Lord, and from the pores of the skin of the Lord, come the seeds of the universe and the universal shells. And then by an inconceivable energy, or inconceivable potency, the Lord's will puts all these things together. And that is called the Mahat Tattva. And as we heard before, from the Mahat Tattva is created the universal form, or what we call the external body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's an imaginary form in the sense that if you stood back from the universe, you wouldn't see Krishna standing there with a flute, or four-armed Narayan with his conch shell and lotus and chakra and all those things, lotus flower. But from that form is generated all the different parts that make up the planetary systems, the senses of the living beings, etc., etc. Then Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, or Mahavishnu, expands into all the different universes, and that basic form that has been created is brought into each universe, into the coverings of each universe. And then Lord Brahma comes out from Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, and then the universe is created as we see it, the visible universe. So up until that point, all these creations are going on a subtle plane, not yet visible within the created universe. Until Brahma, it all comes through the form of Brahma, from the pipe coming from the navel of Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. And if you want to simplify it so that we can understand it, it's the same thing that goes on when a living being is injected into the womb of a mother, and then as the form's created, there's a navel, and from that navel there's a pipe, and from that pipe all of the ingredients that are needed to create the form and all the information content are put into the body, and then it grows, and here we are. So that's the microcosmic creation, which is the same as the macrocosmic creation of the entire cosmic manifestation, the entire universe. And there are the numbers of universes, or the number of hair holes or pores in the skin of the body of the Lord. Do you have any idea how many pores or skin hole there are in your body? Well, it's a lot. And that's how many universes there are. We'll hear more about that later from Kapila Dev. Hare Krishna.
From Bhakta Christopher.
Yes, Bhakta Christopher.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj and assembled devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. The way the creation and destruction of the universe is explained is incredible. The energy of the Lord is so powerful that I am hardly able to imagine Krishna in my mind. All glories to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
All glories to Prabhupada. Yes. Therefore, the Srimad-Bhagavatam is the sum total of all the Vedic literatures put in a form that we can understand it, and then translated into English by Srila Prabhupada in a way that we can actually begin to grasp it. Hare Krishna. Yes, we are extremely fortunate. And with the gratitude that comes from that good fortune, a sense of that good fortune, we can begin to perform devotional service of hearing and chanting with the right mood, with the submissive spirit, so that we can actually get the proper understanding and eventually see for ourselves that this is actually going on. Hare Krishna. But even more than that, we can see the form of the Lord, and we become attached to Krishna, and eventually we'll fall in love with Krishna. So the purpose of all of this is to know Krishna so well that we will fall in love with him, rather than just be amazed at all of these inconceivable energies that he has. We'll be able to perceive it and fall in love with him. Hare Krishna. That may be a simplification, but it's true nonetheless. There's a nice verse in the Gita that says that if someone understands the material energy, the internal energy, external energy, and all of these details that are described in the Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, then one can understand who is God. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Sama Beta Bhakta Brinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow, same time, same place, same topic. More and more details of the calculation of the universe, how the universe is created. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow. Hari Bol.